My name is Amelia. I'm 32 years old, and for 8 years my mother acted as if I didn't exist. No birthday calls, no holiday texts, complete silence. Then last month, I made the Forbes 30 under 30 list for my tech startup that's now valued at $50 million. Within hours of the article going live, my phone buzzed with a message I never thought I'd see. Sweetheart, I saw the news. So proud of you. Can we talk? Before I tell you what happened next, let me know where you're watching from in the comments. Hit that like and subscribe button if you've ever been discarded by family, only to have them reappear when you succeeded. Trust me, this story gets even more unbelievable. Growing up, I was always the daughter who didn't quite fit the mold my mother had designed. My mom, Patricia Chin, was a real estate agent in suburban Connecticut who measured success by very specific markers. Prestigious college, stable corporate job, marriage by 25, grandchildren by 28. She had mapped out my entire life before I could even speak in full sentences. My older brother Marcus followed this script perfectly. Yale undergraduate, Harvard MBA, married his college sweetheart at 26, gave my parents 2 adorable grandchildren by the time he was 29. He worked at Goldman Sachs, lived in Greenwich with a perfectly manicured lawn, and attended the right charity galas. In my mother's eyes, Marcus was the gold standard. I, on the other hand, was a constant disappointment from the start. I chose to study computer science at a state university instead of pursuing the pre-med track my mother had envisioned. State school, she said when I told her my decision, her voice dripping with disdain. What will I tell the ladies at the club? That should have been my first warning sign, but I was 18 and still believed I could win her approval eventually. I thought if I just worked hard enough, achieved enough, she would see my value. I was so incredibly naive. During college, I became obsessed with coding. I'd spend entire weekends in the computer lab, teaching myself programming languages, building apps, and dreaming of creating something that would change the world. My roommates would drag me out for parties, but I'd rather stay in, laptop open, solving problems and writing lines of code that felt like poetry to me. My mother called this phase my computer obsession and treated it like a disease I'd eventually recover from. When are you going to get serious about your future? She'd ask during our increasingly tense phone calls. You can't make a living playing with computers. The irony of that statement still makes me laugh, but back then it cut deep. I graduated with honors, but my mother didn't attend my graduation. She claimed she had an important open house scheduled that weekend. Marcus came, though. He always tried to be supportive, caught between loyalty to me and not wanting to upset our mother. After graduation, I moved to San Francisco with $3,000 in savings and a dream. I worked as a junior developer at a mid-sized tech company during the day and spent my nights and weekends building my own project, a platform that would revolutionize how small businesses manage their inventory and customer data using AI. I lived in a cramped studio apartment in the Tenderloin district, surviving on instant ramen and ambition. My mother called my move to San Francisco running away from responsibility. She told relatives I was going through a phase and would come home soon, probably to find a nice accountant to marry. Then came the conversation that ended our relationship for 8 years. I was 24, and I had finally secured seed funding for my startup. A small venture capital firm believed in my vision and invested $500,000. I was ecstatic, terrified, and convinced this was my moment to prove everyone wrong. I called my mother to share the news, hoping against hope that she'd finally be proud of me. The conversation lasted less than 5 minutes and destroyed whatever remained of our relationship. Mom, I got funding for my company, I said, unable to contain my excitement. $500,000. Investors believe in what I'm building. There was a long pause. Then she spoke, her voice cold and measured. So you're really going through with this startup nonsense? It's not nonsense, Mom. This is my company. I'm the CEO. CEO of what? Some little computer thing? Amelia, when are you going to grow up and get a real job? Do you know how embarrassing this is for me? My friends' daughters are doctors, lawyers, married with children. And mine is playing businesswoman in California. I'm not playing, Mom. This is real. This is important to me. Important to you, she repeated mockingly. That's your problem, Amelia. Everything is always about what you want. You never think about family, about what's appropriate. You're 24 years old, and you're throwing your life away. Something in me snapped. Years of trying to earn her approval, years of being compared to Marcus, years of having my dreams dismissed as childish fantasies. It all came to a head in that moment. You know what, Mom? I'm done. I'm done trying to be the daughter you want instead of accepting the daughter you have. I'm building something incredible, and if you can't see that or support that, then maybe we shouldn't talk anymore. Fine, she said, her voice arctic. If you're going to choose this ridiculous business over family, then you've made your choice. Don't call me when this fails and you need money to come home. I won't need to, I replied, my voice shaking but firm. Because I'm not going to fail. We'll see, she said, and hung up. That was the last real conversation we had for 8 years. No call on my 25th birthday. No text when I moved into a better apartment. No congratulations when my company secured series of funding. Nothing when I was featured in TechCrunch. Complete silence. Marcus tried to play mediator at first. He'd call me every few months with updates. She asks about you, he'd say, though I suspected he was lying to make me feel better. She's just stubborn. You know how she is. Does she ask about my company? I'd counter. Does she want to know if I'm happy? His silence answered my question. She asked if I'd come to my senses yet. If I was ready to apologize and get a real job. But she never asked if I was okay, if I was thriving, if I was proud of what I'd built. The first year of silence was the hardest. Every time I hit a milestone, closing a major client, hiring my 10th employee, securing our Series B funding, I'd instinctively reach for my phone to call her. Then I'd remember. She didn't want to hear about my success unless it fit her narrow definition of what success should look like. My father died when I was 15, so there was no buffer, no other parent to reach out to. It was just my mother's cold silence and Marcus's uncomfortable position in the middle. He'd invite me to family gatherings, but I always declined. I couldn't bear the thought of sitting at a table where my mother would look through me as if I didn't exist. The holidays were brutal. Thanksgiving, Christmas, my birthday, all spent alone or with friends who became my chosen family. My team at the company rallied around me, inviting me to their celebrations, treating me like one of their own. They didn't know the full story, just that I was estranged from my family. They filled the void as best they could. Meanwhile, my company was thriving. We grew from 5 employees to 50, then to 150. We secured major contracts with retailers across the country. Our AI-powered platform was genuinely changing how small businesses operated, making them more efficient and profitable. I was featured in industry publications, spoke at conferences, and built something I was genuinely proud of. But there was always an emptiness, a mother-shaped hole in every achievement. I'd be on stage giving a keynote speech, and I'd scan the audience almost hoping to see her face. She never showed. I went to therapy to process the rejection. Dr. Morrison helped me understand that my mother's inability to accept me wasn't about my worth, but about her own rigid worldview. She can't celebrate your success because it challenges her understanding of what success should look like, she explained. That's her limitation, not yours. Understanding it intellectually didn't make it hurt less emotionally. I dreamed about her sometimes. In my dreams, she'd call and apologize, tell me she was wrong, that she was proud of me. I'd wake up and check my phone, already knowing there would be no messages. Last month, everything changed. My company, Dataflow AI, was named to the Forbes 30 Under 30 list in the Enterprise Technology category. The article detailed our journey, our valuation, which had reached $50 million, and my vision for the future. They called me one of the most promising young entrepreneurs in the tech space. The article went live at 6 a.m. Eastern Time. By 6:47 a.m., my phone buzzed with a text from a number I'd never deleted, even after 8 years of silence. Sweetheart, I saw the Forbes article. I'm so proud of you. Can we talk? I stared at that message for a full 10 minutes, my coffee growing cold in my hand. Sweetheart. She called me sweetheart. She hadn't used a term of endearment for me in over a decade. And now, suddenly, because Forbes validated my success, she wanted to talk? My first instinct was rage. 8 years. 8 years of silence, of treating me like I was dead to her. And now that I had the right kind of recognition, the kind her friends at the club would respect, suddenly I was worthy of her attention? I didn't respond. I couldn't. I put my phone down and went to work, but I couldn't focus. My co-founder and best friend, Maya, noticed immediately. "What's wrong?" she asked, cornering me in my office. "You should be celebrating. Forbes 30 under 30 is huge." I showed her the text. Maya knew the whole story. She'd been there through the lonely holidays, the therapy sessions, the moments when I'd questioned whether success was worth the family I'd lost. "Wow," she said slowly. "After all this time, what are you going to do?" "I don't know," I admitted. Part of me wants to ignore it, pretend I never saw it. But another part still wants your mom's approval, Maya finished gently. She was right. Despite everything, despite the therapy and the years of building my own life, some small part of me still craved my mother's validation. That little girl who just wanted her mom to be proud of her was still in there, desperate and hopeful. Over the next 3 days, my mother sent 6 more texts. Each one was a masterclass in manipulation disguised as concern. "I've always believed in you, sweetheart. I knew you'd do great things. Can we have lunch? I'd love to hear about your company. I'm sorry we've been out of touch. Life gets so busy. Out of touch." As if our 8-year silence was due to conflicting schedules rather than her deliberate rejection of me and my choices. The revisionist history was breathtaking. Then came the call that revealed her true motivations. Marcus called me, his voice tight with frustration. We need to talk about Mom. Did she put you up to this?" I asked wearily. "No, the opposite actually. She doesn't know I'm calling. But she's been talking to everyone, all her friends, people at the club, about her daughter, the Forbes 30 under 30 CEO. She's acting like she's been supportive all along. It's making me sick." I felt my blood pressure rising. "Of course she is. There's more," Marcus continued. "She's telling people she's been an investor in your company from the beginning. That she believed in you when no one else did." The audacity was stunning. Not only was she rewriting history, but she was now claiming credit for my success. She even told Aunt Linda that she's planning to visit you in San Francisco to help advise you on next steps for the business. That did it. Something in me crystallized. I'd spent 8 years building a life without my mother's support. I'd created a company that changed industries, employed over 150 people, and generated real value in the world. I'd done it without her money, without her connections, without her approval. And now she wanted to waltz back in, claiming credit and seeking reflected glory? No, absolutely not. I called her. She answered on the first ring, her voice warm and syrupy. "Amelia." "Oh, sweetheart, I'm so glad you called. I've been dying to talk to you." "Cut the act, Mom," I said, my voice cold. "I know what you're doing. I don't know what you mean. I just want to reconnect with my daughter." "Your daughter?" I repeated. "I haven't been your daughter for 8 years. The last time we spoke, you told me I was throwing my life away. You said my business was ridiculous nonsense. You treated me like I was dead." "Amelia, I never." "Yes, you did. And I have the phone records to prove it. 8 years of silence, Mom. 8 birthdays. 8 Christmases. You didn't call when I made my first million in revenue. You didn't call when TechCrunch featured us. You didn't call when we hit 100 employees. But Forbes publishes an article and suddenly I'm sweetheart again." There was silence on the other end. Then, instead of apologizing, she went on the offensive. "You're the one who cut me off. You chose your little company over family." "No, Mom. You cut me off because I didn't become the daughter you wanted. I didn't marry a doctor or become a lawyer. I did something you didn't understand, and rather than try to understand it, you decided I wasn't worth your time. That's not fair." "What's not fair," I said, my voice rising despite my efforts to stay calm, "is you telling everyone you've been supportive. What's not fair is claiming you invested in my company when you did nothing but criticize it. What's not fair is treating me like I didn't exist until I achieved success on terms you could brag about to your country club friends. I'm your mother, she said, her voice taking on that injured tone I remembered so well. After everything I did for you, raising you, this is how you treat me? Everything you did for me ended when I was 24, I replied. Everything I've accomplished since then, I did without you. And you know what? I did it better without your constant criticism and impossible standards. So that's it, she asked, her voice turning cold again. The warmth had evaporated like morning fog. You're just going to throw away your family? I'm not throwing anything away, Mom. I'm protecting what I've built. My company, my life, my peace. Things I created without you, and things you don't get to claim credit for now. I hung up before she could respond. My hands were shaking, adrenaline coursing through my system. But underneath the anxiety, I felt something else, liberation. The next day, I received an email from my mother's lawyer. She was threatening legal action, claiming she had made verbal agreements to invest in my company and was owed equity. It was absurd and easily disproven. My lawyers assured me we had nothing to worry about, but it revealed who she truly was. When financial gain wasn't possible, she pivoted to trying to damage my reputation. She called business journalists, trying to plant stories about how I was an ungrateful daughter who abandoned my family. Most saw through it immediately, but it was painful nonetheless. Marcus called, apologizing for our mother's behavior. I should have stood up to her years ago, he said. Told her she was wrong about you. I was a coward. You were trying to keep the peace, I said, forgiving him more easily than I'd expected. That's not cowardice. But I need you to understand, I'm done trying to have a relationship with her. Not until she can acknowledge what she did and genuinely apologize. I understand, he said. For what it's worth, I'm proud of you. Dad would be too. That made me cry. My father would have been proud. He would have celebrated every milestone, understood my passion, supported my unconventional path. His death had left me alone with a mother who couldn't love the real me. 3 weeks after the Forbes article, my mother sent one final text. You'll regret this when I'm gone. Family is all that matters. But she was wrong. Family does matter, but family isn't just blood. It's the people who support you, believe in you, celebrate your success, and pick you up when you fail. My team at Dataflow, my friend Maya, my brother Marcus, who finally found his spine, they were my family. Today, I'm thriving. Dataflow AI just closed our Series C funding round at a $200 million valuation. We're expanding internationally and will employ over 300 people by next quarter. I'm genuinely happy, surrounded by people who see me and value me for who I actually am. My mother still tells people we're close, I've heard through the grapevine. She shows them the Forbes article claiming maternal pride. But the people who matter know the truth. And I've stopped caring what her country club friends think. Sometimes I imagine an alternate universe where she supported me from the beginning, where she came to my product launches and celebrated my victories. Where I could call her after a hard day and hear words of encouragement instead of criticism. But that's not my reality, and I've made peace with that. The lesson I learned is this: you cannot earn love from someone who's decided you're not worthy. And success, real success, isn't measured by whether people who rejected you come crawling back when you make it. Success is building a life you're proud of with people who loved you before Forbes ever knew your name. If you're watching this and dealing with family who only value you when you succeed on their terms, remember this: you deserve better. You deserve people who celebrate you at every stage, not just when you hit milestones they can brag about. And if you have to build that family yourself from friends and chosen relatives, that's not settling. That's strength. Have you ever had family members reappear after years of silence once you became successful? How did you handle it? Share your story in the comments below. And if this resonated with you, please like and subscribe. Your support means everything. Thank you for listening to my story. And remember, the family you choose is just as valid as the family you're born into, sometimes more so.